let's go.
Hey everybody, we're here for another RLG cast. We're tier listing. We're going to go into tier list land soon. I'm here with JD. I'm here with the Puttyman. Their stuff will be in the description below. Check out their channels because they have great content. Whether you like gaming or wrestling or otherwise, it's everywhere here. And what we'll do
a fat
is
guy
just
running on the treadmill.
Fat guy running on a treadmill. That
it. Always gets views.
Shout out to an angel that we lost, my friend Shamar. We called each other our senseis, and that goes right into this Master Splinter. We love you, and we'll just open up this in tier list line. JD is in control. Here's the master of the tiers.
And so here we are.
We're talking all the Ninja Turtles main movies. Doesn't have to be theatrical release. It just has to be a main movie. So we're not counting what they call movies of the original series, because there's a few I don't know what you would call it, like
specials,
videos.
There's a few collected there's a few specials, collected episodes, but they are actually episodes in the series. They're just collected into a movie and they sold it as that. But
kind of like G.I. Joe the movie, where it's 5 episodes but they called it the movie.
Well, the G.I. Joe movie feels like a movie. It's like the Transformers movie, don't get me wrong. I get what you're saying, but like the way the Ninja Turtles one feel is like it just feels like episodes of the show. Be honest, but between the two of you, you grew up in an era before me, and I'm not a big G.I. Joe guy. I'm a Turtles guy. Hold on, wait. I'm a big Turtles guy till I die. Okay, but regardless of the scenario of the situation, you both have to admit the G.I. Joe movie felt like a movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely it did.
But so
it was originally supposed to be a movie split into 5 parts, because the the Transformers movie tanked.
Right, and this is where I'm going to say this. I know Putty wants to say something. I'm going to cut him off. But the way that movie feels like it was a movie that they cut into 5 parts, like you said, and made it part of the series.
Yeah.
Whereas the Turtles movies from the original series don't feel like that. They just feel like collected episodes that they sold to you as a product. You know what I mean?
Kind of like what the Power Rangers did. The Power Rangers had like the Green Ranger special where it was 5 episodes, but they aired it as one.
Yeah, but their actual movie was the real movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're not gonna break this down too much.
Let's not go too deep into this.
I just want to do a shout out. I just want to shout out real quick. They did these things called FYE videos that they gave away at like some of the fast food restaurants that were like complete small versions of those movies you're talking about put into one thing. So it looked like we were having a movie. Exactly.
They had it. I loved it. I think McDonald's had it in Canada. I don't remember, but so we'll start out here with the first movie, the actual. What year is it? 90?
91.
I think so. 91, yeah.
91.
TMNT.
Oh, no, 90. Sorry, 90. 90. It was 91. This was 90.
And I think...
I'm okay.
Regardless of how... Like, I want to talk about this. So we're going to talk about each one, and we'll give both our feelings of it and our critical opinions, because I know Putty does have a deep emotional connection to this, but so do I, and I feel like so do you, and I feel like...
We all do.
We all do. Even Bargo and Caps do. I would have loved to have them on this, but we can't right now. But I feel like this has to be a cowabunga.
Yeah, just because of what it is.
Regardless of whatever we place later, and I don't think there's probably anything that's going to beat this, let's be honest. But I do think from an emotional level and not a critical level, this is no matter what, a cowabunga. So for me, and I'll let you guys both talk, I promise.
Okay, I'll go last.
For me, I remember watching this, and I was I was a Turtles guy. If you heard me ever talk on this podcast or the shows or anything, for me it was Turtles and Batman. I grew up in the era of the end of He-Man and Transformers and G.I. Joe, but those were never my things. My things were always Ninja Turtles and Batman, and I think my cousins, outside of JD, who's also my cousin,
right?
but the younger cousins were in the same vein as me, and then later X-Men and maybe Spider-Man. I'm not a big Spider-Man guy, but I love the series, okay?
Yeah.
But to me, this movie means a lot. It's a really well-made movie, actually. Critically, if I break it down, I might not rate it super high, but I would still give it a realistically good rating, because I think there's a lot of layers to it. It really plays on both it plays mostly on the comic book, and I think you guys will agree with that. But it does have a play to the animated series. It brings a lot of that to light. It has a lot of darkness to it. The stuff with Splinter and the real emotional value. I think where this movie, if it's my opinion, loses it is the actual writing is not that strong. Yes, it does hit those emotional heights, but I think in between,
when they're all at the farmhouse, I think that's like
agreed. And I think the around the fire when they have the talk with him through like Beverly Hills Ninja style, when they meet on the plane of, with Chris Farley in Beverly Hills Ninja, when they meet on the plane of existence or whatever. But like that, those parts are wicked. And I think the stuff with Casey Jones is really deep, and the stuff with Casey Jones in April is really deep, and the connection. But I just think as an overall story, and this is just me expressing my feelings critically, right? The reason I wouldn't put this in the upper echelon of superhero movies is because it just, in between those moments, it's missing something. I
can agree
Putty,
to that.
I would like Putty to talk next.
Okay, well, here's my thing. Everyone that knows me on a deeper meaning knows that the reason this movie means so much to me, one, because, well, I ended up wearing out 3 copies of this. I have this. This is the only movie I can recite from back to front. I would make toast with little bologna pieces and cheese and ketchup, my own made pizza every time. This movie, my mom hates this movie because I have it grained into me. But the reason she does, this is the one movie she says she never wants to watch again. And here's the reason why. I've told this story about how I first picked up the comic before I actually saw the cartoon. And that was at a young age. I was so excited to get a bloody, violent comic book, which people don't know that it actually has some violence in it. I mean, it's not, you don't actually see like red blood, but the dark penmanship.
The comic was black and white.
Yeah, exactly.
Just for the people who don't know.
Exactly. But here was the thing that made so exciting. When this movie came out and I realized they were adapting the comic book, this is what started the whole thing of what I do as a dream of living and doing, is which is the comparison to comic books and movies, like I'm always doing. This started it. My friends were watching and they go, that didn't have in the comics. That didn't have in the cartoons. I'm like, that happened in the comics, like the fire scene in the building. That literally was in it, but instead it's Leonardo. And see, people don't realize those little things were changed. But for me, as a kid that actually read it first, I felt like a superhero. Like it was so, I don't know how to explain how I felt in that moment, but to that day, I literally followed Ninja Turtles. Now,
do you mind if I jump in quick?
Sure, go ahead.
I think in the realm of superhero movies that we got to this point to this 1991, 1990, whatever this
90.
is. So sure, the progressiveness of Superman fell off, right? But I love the Donner cut of Superman 2. Even the regular version of Superman 2 is fine. But the Donner cut to me in my heart is special. It might be the best one. But Superman 1 was really faithful to the character, the comic book, everything of Superman at that time. And as much as I love Batman 89, and I know Nick will kill me for this, but I love Batman 89. We all love Batman 89, but it's not faithful to the source material at all.
No.
So I think to this point, realistically, like even Superman being as faithful as it was, there was no more faithful adaptation of a comic book than Turtles 91.
Yeah.
Well
91, right? Did I say that?
90.
Yeah.
90. This 90.
Is 90. I'm sorry. 90.
No, but,
and you can agree with that, right? Because Batman was great.
Yeah.
But it's not a faithful adaptation of Batman.
Not of the comic books, no.
It led Batman in the direction that we got now, which is the right direction. We can all agree on that. It led it in this dark direction, which is the right direction.
Yeah.
But it was not faithful to the comics. And Superman 1 and maybe 2, even the Donner cut were faithful, but like nothing was as faithful as this.
And see, I want to bring up this too.
Maybe The Godfather, but that's not a comic book.
No.
But I'm going to bring this up too. People don't realize how special this movie is. First off, combining the comic book and the cartoon was an amazing idea. They did a great job. That made it faithful to all fans of both genres. But not even just that. This was the last Jim Henson project. For this to be the last thing that Jim Henson put his touch to, he's left a legacy that's so huge that a lot of people that watch this movie don't realize how impactful it is to know that these animatronics set the way of something even bigger later down the road when it came to animatronics. But not even just that it was the last thing Jim Henson had his hands on.
I agree with you 100%. And JD, give us your take on it.
So my
Putty, you're right though. Putty, I agree with you. You're right.
Myself being a little bit older than you guys too, when this movie came out, I remember I was 13.
You must have been more engrossed in the comic book than both of us were.
Completely, I was.
Well, no, I was 10. I was.
But I'm saying he was like really in.
I
the
was
comic.
right at that perfect age for it, right? And to me, the comic book felt so like underground. It felt like punk rock. It was like this thing that nobody else was doing. That exemplified punk rock.
Archie.
Like,
can I be honest with you guys? I didn't read the actual original comic book. I have the collected issues now. I think it's the volume 1.
The one I just showed.
Yeah. I think it's I believe it's what is it, 1 to like 10 or 1 to 12?
1 to 12.
And it's the original run and they cut it off at that point, and then they came back for the rest. So I have read the second volume, but I didn't read that until I was maybe in my 20s. So like the mid 2010s.
Yeah.
And when I got really into reading comic books again, and I'm okay expressing that because I think that I lost a lot of my life, a lot of my passion through my teenage years and being whatever I was, and we won't get into that, and I gained it back. And I think reading that, I realized how much even more this movie was special. Sorry to cut you off on that.
Yeah,
JD,
no worries, bro.
And I think a lot of people will realize that if you read that first volume, you don't even need to read the rest. Read the first volume, and it's so accurate to so much. So much of the turtles that we got, even going forward, even Michael Bay has a lot of that in.
Yeah, he does.
Ones. But go ahead, get back.
But yeah, so going back to what I was saying, it felt so underground. It felt so punk rock. And I remember 13 years old, getting my movie. I had a job. I had my own money at that point. I was buying my own comic books. I took Fab to go see Ninja Turtles because Fab's another guy.
He's what, a year older than me?
No, I think Mark's a year younger than you. I think he's 2 years older than you.
What, Mark is 88.
Yeah,
and he's
Fab's 85.
Yeah. Okay.
So 85, he was probably 5-6 years old at the time Ninja Turtles came out. So he was.
I didn't see this till VHS.
Yeah,
mind you, I'll give myself a little bit of credit. I saw it when it first got released on VHS, but I did not see it in theaters. Continue the story. I'm sorry.
So I took Fab. Fab was like this huge Ninja Turtles.
Shout out to Fab.
Yeah. Shout out to Fab. He should have been on this video too, but he won't do it. And it was like, it was this great experience to see what you've read on paper and what you've seen in cartoon form just being brought to life magically by Jim Henson. Say what you will now about the practical effects, but I'll take practical effects over shoddy CG
I will take every error in this movie. You know what? I'll take every error in the second movie over
to the point where Donatello opens his mouth and you can see the actors.
Yeah. But I will take every error in this movie, and I'll take every error in the second movie over anything that we got in the future. And it's no disrespect, because I think some of those are really those are better movies. But I agree with you.
And for me, it was just something special, especially like as a 13-year-old, where you're so impressionable at that time. It was just something that stuck with me. And this movie, I still have, I can't even think about how many different copies of
you
this
can't
movie
see it right now, but it's right here on my wall in poster form.
I have the original VHS, the black, remember it was a black box.
It was black and it just had the turtles and April O'Neil standing right there.
So I got that one. Pizza Hut gave out a free DVD copy once. I have that.
I think if you look at this series as a whole, maybe not so much to Nikki, anyone who knows Nikki, but the first movie for me and my brother is special, and I know it's special for Putty. We don't need to get into that discussion. I know it is.
Mind you, the second April was hotter.
But hold on.
I agree. Oh yeah,
for my family, Turtles is like a special thing. I know JD's a bit older, but like he said, his brother Fab, Turtles was a special thing for me, my two cousins, my brother. And like I said, maybe not this whole series going forward if you know Nikki. But this first movie was like a special thing, and I don't want to dwell on this. Let's go to the second movie.
And nobody pays full price for late pizza, dude.
Nobody
exactly.
Does.
Oh yeah, and forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price.
Okay, so
anyway, but before we go into, I don't.
Sorry, you want to say something, Buddy? Go on.
I want to say one more thing. A lot of people don't realize this too. When JD brought up earlier about the Mirage Studios, I want to bring up one thing that a lot of people didn't realize. Back when comic books first came out, you had your direct editions and then you had your newsstand editions. Okay, you had two different versions of the comic book. A lot of the Archie comics were sold at like convenience stores, things of that nature. To get the Mirage comics, you had to go to a comic book store more often, or where I had to, you had to. So when I had friends like, oh yeah, I collect Ninja Turtle comics too, and they show me the art sheet, I go, dude, you're not living in the awesome world. You're living in the cartoon world, sir. Let me show you. And it felt so good to be like,
can I say something that's really odd to me?
Shout out to Red Nails.
Oh,
can I say
man,
something
so
that's really
odd
to me as a comic book collector? Because I know the market is really skewed nowadays, and I still buy. I much prefer to hit the cons and grab a little grail here and there. But if I'm in my general life, it's eBay, CGC. Like I get that, I save up for that one buy, right? Like I got the Demon in a Bottle Iron Man, right? 9.4, and that's like important to me. But a lot of comic book back then, like Putty said, you had the newsstand edition and you had the regular one, and for a lot of series, though the lesser produced one is the non-newsstand, right? The comic book store version.
Yeah.
But now in 2023, where I have a couple here and there not graded. I might have one or two that are graded, but like my New Mutants, or what is Putty like? The one with Cable.
Oh, that's X-Force.
X-Force, the number one, whatever. But it's so odd to me because the less produced version is the comic book store version, but the one that's worth more is the newsstand sealed in bag, right? So I have a lot of sealed in bag. I have Death of Superman. I have what Putty said. I have the X-Force.
I got Spider-Man 700, the one with the gray tombstone,
right?
On the front.
And it's just like, well, I won't get too deep into comic books. We'll save that for one of our podcasts where we really dig into comic books. But for now, let's get to number two. And Putty, you can lead this one off. I think we're going to disagree here, but I think it's in fairness.
Okay, so I'll tell you what I'm going to explain what this is. This is the sequel to the movie. See here, several points came into this. First off, they people thought the first one was too violent, so they took out all the weapon usage where they started using things on the side,
kind of like Batman Forever.
Yeah, it became a
Batman
little more
Returns.
comedic in its tone. We did get probably one of the best rap songs ever. I don't care what people say. Go Ninja,
wait,
go Ninja,
hold
go.
On. Kind of like Batman Forever, because in Batman Returns they didn't do that.
Oh, they went too violent.
And then they did it. Okay, sorry. Continue, Putty.
But anyway, and then of course, instead of getting what people thought they were going to get was Bebop and Rocksteady from the cartoons, we got Tokka and Rizar.
Well, but that kind of worked.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I agree. It really does work. And see, the thing is, here's the thing. This does still have that darker tone to it, I believe, in my eyes. But you could start to see kind of like in the Batman world where they started going way more kiddie. Like this is their Batman Forever, but I feel like at least it's better than Batman Forever in my eyes.
I don't know if it's, I'm going to agree with you and disagree with you. I don't know if it's better than Batman Forever, but I 100% agree with you. It's at least on par with that. Because I, as we saw in our last video that we did, the actual podcast, which by the way, if you're looking for the podcast, it's going to come back. Don't worry.
Summer hiatus. There's too much
we're doing a lot of wrestling stuff and a lot of movies, actual reviews, and we're working on Putty's channel and we're working on JD's channel, and I think combined.
Look for a special trifecta.
The RLG cast will continue. You need not worry. But I do think we had a discussion about that, and I think no matter what all of our feelings are, we can't ever say Batman Forever is a trash movie. It's not. It's not trash.
No, I'm not saying it's trash.
This is at least the Schumacher cut,
right? But this is the Turtles version of that, where
a little toned down,
right? Because like I just said earlier, Batman Returns is not the toned down version. It was, they wanted it to be and it wasn't, and then they got it in Batman Forever, and this is kind of like, oh, Turtles is kind of hard, it's kind of down. But so for me, I'm gonna be honest, I love this movie to death. This is one of the most rewatchable Turtles movies, period.
But it's a C. Too Sweet Kevin Nash in it too.
You do,
Super Shredder.
Super Shredder. But it's a C.
So here's the thing. This is my second
not bad, but
it's no. I'm going to say this. For me, if I had control of this, you know where it's going to go. It's going to go right behind the first one, just because it still has a love for me. But I understand based on how good it is. For me, it's a B.
No, and this is one of the first times I want JD to give his opinion here to help us out with this. But this is hold on. This is one of the first times ever where me and Putty had completely differing opinions, but Putty was not opposed to it being where I wanted it, and I'm not opposed to it being where Putty wants it.
I'm kind of in between you guys, though. That's the
if
thing.
you want to put it in a B, put it in a B.
I'm thinking B only because I'm the middle here. I'm the middle ground.
But I'm gonna be honest. There's better movies than this.
There are, and there's a couple movies on this list that are going in the cowabunga tier, at least in my opinion. But
behind the first one, my eyes, but I agree. Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, Turtles 2, it felt like a letdown for me personally, only because like you said, we were expecting Bebop and Rocksteady. We got in the end, yes, Toka and Razor became fan favorites eventually. They eventually brought them into the comic books. Hell, they even brought them into Shredder's Revenge.
Oh, I'm so excited. You got so excited about that.
I think I want to just say this, okay? I don't mean to like cut you off, but you were older than us at that point. I mean, and Putty was older than me even.
Yeah.
But I think
I was 11
I want to validate your opinion on this because you having watched it for the first time as like what, a 15 or 16-year-old.
What year did it come out? 93, 92?
Yeah. So but after having seen the first one and what the first one was, I can completely I want to validate your opinion because me growing up, I love this. Like I said, this is arguably even compared to the first one. And don't take me saying this is better than the first one, but this is way more rewatchable than the first one because it's a more fun time. It's a
comedy romp. It is.
And this is the difference, right? I grew up with the cartoon and then these movies. You guys grew up with the comic book and the cartoon and these movies. So like I said,
and the games.
But don't and I grew up with the games too, right? But and not to take away from you or unjustify your opinions. But like I said, until I really got into reading comic books again in the 2012, 2013, right? My opinion on Ninja Turtles was never down, right? I love Turtles forever, but it was, once I read the comic books, it was different, right? So for you guys watching this, I can understand Putty not so much, but maybe you being a little bit older, seeing, oh, this is a disappointment. But for me, this was so rewatchable. And I want to put it in a C, but I will absolutely accept it in a B because I think it's actually a solid.
Putty, you good with that?
It's
still technically behind the first movie.
I think it's fair because he said cowabunga. I said C. You said B. I think this is fair, and I do think I love the addition of Kino.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't know Kino was actually one of the original Ninja Turtles in the original movie too.
Yes. And we get a lot of stuff that comes out, and I'm good with this. Okay, so JD, take it away for number 3.
Oof, number 3, Turtles in Time. Here we had a movie that was named after a fantastic video game.
One of the best Super Nintendo games
of all time.
If you want to go watch our list, it's on one of their channels. I don't remember which one, but we did it.
It's on my channel.
It's on JD's.
We'll see if we can find a link for that for you guys. But
I grew up with
here.
this.
I was expecting this fun time travel romp.
Which, by the way, can we just say something? I love the game. You love the game. In Canada and outside of the USA, it was not called Turtles in Time.
No,
it was called Ninja Turtles 3.
Yeah, it was.
In the sorry, I burped on the mic. In the US, it was called Turtles in Time.
Yeah.
I want to jump in this. Here's the thing. When I saw the trailer for this, the one thing that excited me was to see the time traveling device. For people that don't know, in Ninja Turtles 2, they really didn't pull much from the comic books. But when they pulled the time traveling device, I'm like, they're going to bring in Renette. They're going to bring in Renette. I was so excited to get Renette. It's April O'Neil playing the part of what Renette would be in the comic book, which, by the way, Renette's a time traveler in the comic book. It's an amazing storyline.
Hold on.
Yes.
As someone, hold on. Let me cut in. Let me cut in.
Oh.
As someone, and this is where I love that we're doing this video because we're all 3 different age groups. And I would love to have Bargo here because he's also another one. But
yeah, I'm the oldest, you're the youngest, and there's only 10 years between us.
And then Putty's in the middle, and then Bargo's a little bit after me. That's why I think it would have worked perfectly. But however, he's busy, and we love him. But I think when you take 10-year-old me, which is like 20-year-old you, and like teenage Putty, to have these opinions. So like, I love the game, and this movie was coming out, and I enjoyed this movie. I had a good time with it. But looking back on it now, especially now, me reviewing movies how I do. Okay, let's not get too me being a condescending asshole about this, but it's not a good movie, and it kind of takes the goodwill of the first movie that we accepted the changes in the second movie.
Yeah.
But like, right, you love the first movie, right? And you have this feeling towards it. And then the second movie comes out and it's not as good, but it has these moments and you're accepting of those moments. And then the third movie comes out and it shits on those moments. And as a little kid, like I said, it's different for you. But for me, I was like 10 when this came out. So for me, this is like God tier. I'm shitting my pants to watch this fucking movie. Sorry for my language, but I don't care about monetization at this point because I love Ninja Turtles.
We're more than
so
10
much.
minutes in, so you're good.
So here's the thing.
It's like there's like I said, there's two special things to me in my life other than James Bond. And it's Batman and okay, maybe Scooby-Doo and Ninja Turtles. But it's like this movie, like first watching it as a kid, you're like, yeah, oh, it's so good. But like I can imagine now watching it and looking back how Putty felt. And then I can imagine how Putty felt, and then looking at JD and imagining how JD felt, because it was like it's a trickle down of like,
but it's also too the effects took a nosedive too.
Okay. So here's this,
and there were no effects. Let's talk about that.
I'm talking about like the costumes,
bogus,
stuff like
bogus,
that. They were bad.
We're all agreeing bogus.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm going to say this right now, and I'm going to go into one thing when it comes to this before we get into some good stuff. Here's my thing.
It might be the worst Turtles movie.
Okay, let's put it this way. When it came to Ninja Turtles 1, they brought back to the comic books. When they brought it to the comic books. 2, didn't have that. 3, when I thought, they're going back to the comic books. I'm 13 years old when this movie comes out. Think about this. 13 years old. I'm already dipped into comic books. I think I'm...
Wait, what year is this?
1993. So I was 13 when it came out, okay?
I just said I was 10. I was like 8.
Yeah, so here's what
I was 16, so you angsty
old,
teen,
you old fucker.
But you can see where I'm at that age now. I've read the comic books. I'm all enthralled in it.
I'm
an expert. And so what happens is here's the thing. That not even just that. This is where the decline came in. Because for example, I did try to get into the TV show. I so badly tried to get into the live action TV show because I was like, I loved her.
What was the Next Mutation?
Yes.
Next Mutation.
So here's
Venus
my thing.
de Milo.
But hold on, I just want to say something. When we always do these tier lists, we go through this whole thing, and all three of us have like a similar expectation or knowledge of certain things.
Yeah.
Like sometimes JD has more, sometimes I have more, sometimes Putty has more. When it comes to Turtles, we all have the same amount of knowledge. I think we just all acquired it at different times.
Yeah.
And so like for me, like I said, I didn't hit the comic book until my 20s, where you guys had it as kids. For me, I grew up on the cartoon. And for me, that's why this felt different. But Putty had both, where JD didn't have both. JD kind of had the comic book and then later kind of just watched the cartoon in jest because his brothers watched the cartoon. You know what I mean? So it's like we all this is probably the one IP that we all have completely different takes that are going to be, but they're all going to align. Isn't that so odd? Even though we all three have completely different takes,
all have different perspectives on it, but they all align to the same.
And it's never really happened. It's never happened.
Which I feel like is about to happen with the next two as well because of our past lives for this. For example, let's go into the next one if you're okay with that.
Okay, so I'll go first because it's my turn.
Yeah, go ahead because I get the next one. I'm okay with the next
one. First time I saw this was as a Turtles fan, right? Because
this was what 90 no 2000.
No, I got the list right here. 2007. I actually
2007. Okay. I was going to say 2005. So 2007. So
I was 27 at this
me
time.
And Bargo
I'm
are
30.
older. Me and JD at this point, and this is like not to talk to say bad about you, right? I love you.
Yeah.
But there was like he was older than us, and we went through this period of life where we only saw each other at family things, right? Until
functions,
we started doing this. So
I think we only reconnected the last 5 years, maybe.
No, maybe before that, but not as intense as it has been in like the last like 3. But so I was always with my younger cousins, and I was the older cousin, and Like when we were with them,
Oh yeah, I'm 30 years old at this point. I'm doing my own thing.
He trumped me as like the older cousin. But when I'm with my cousins, with Bargo, you guys know Jackie Scoons, and if you watch my Nikki's channel on the main RLG, you know Shake and Bake. We're all family, and this was like me getting to experience the Turtles with them, but in a different way, because they had experienced those, but like we're all now older and getting it. And I remember the first time watching, and I watched it alone. Actually, I watched it with my friend. Okay, we smoked a shitload of weed. Shout out to him, Chris. He lived right here by my house. And we watched it, and we weren't expecting nothing, because we've slowly digressed through the pantheon of Turtles, right? And me not having read the comic, I didn't know the levels you could hit with Turtles. You know what I mean? So to me, my criteria was, the best parts of the cartoon and the best parts of the first movie. And I don't want to drag this video forever, but if you guys will allow me this moment. So later on, when I became a huge cinephile and I was buying all the things that I loved, and I had money finally, and I was not doing bad things, and, you know, buying the things that I loved. And I bought the Turtles set in the Turtles van, where the lid came off and it had all the discs of all the seasons, and watching it and remembering, because I had bought I think Batman the animated series, and you still can't get Spider-Man, but X-Men, right?
Yep.
And maybe whatever you could buy of Darkwing Duck, because volume 3 of Darkwing Duck still doesn't exist. So there's like a chunk of it missing, but I've watched it now on Disney Plus. Neither here nor there. But
yeah, there was a point in time where box sets were huge,
right? And I'm a collector of cartoons. I have it. You see me with my Sonic. Putty hates
Sonic Underground's horrible.
Sonic Underground, but for me, it's just like I need to have it. I have a cartoon collection, right? I don't want to drag this out, like I said. So going back to watching those original movies and enjoying them, and then seeing this and whatever it was, and sharing it with my cousins and enjoying it, and then going back to the cartoon with this nostalgic. And this is why I bought the comic book after, and I read it, and I was like blown away by, like, holy crap, this is Batman. This is Batman with mutants. This is X-Men, and Batman had a baby with Ninja Turtles, which is something I love. They were like, and anyways,
there is a parallel between Ninja Turtles and Daredevil.
Yeah. But hold on. So
foot hand.
Hold on, shut up. So
how'd you do it?
I bought the animated series, the set, and I watched all of it. Some of it I watched really drunk, but I got through the whole thing. It's a lot of episodes, and my whole expectation was, being someone who watched Scooby-Doo and Batman, like I said, whatever, blah blah blah, and watching the progression of those shows, and how over time the 67 Spider-Man, whatever, the Batman and Robin and Friends, and
from the 70s.
But yeah, the original Scooby-Doo was great, don't get me wrong, but the progression as it got more realistic and better, and the animation got better, and everything got better. So I'm watching Turtles, and I'm thinking in my head, it's got to progress, right? But I don't remember it since a child, and watching it as an adult, it doesn't progress. The first season is really good, the second season is really good, and the third season they cut the budget and to make more money off spending less money, right?
So it was also the fact that they're bringing in characters just to sell toys, right?
Okay,
this point too.
The third season
and the nunchuck thing, Michelangelo happened too.
But hold on. So that happens in, I think, season 4, the nunchuck thing. But season 3, you could see. I'm expecting, as a person who's collecting animated things, to get better. It doesn't. It gets worse, and the story gets worse, and then the fourth one it gets worse, and then the 5th season gets worse, and then the 6th season gets worse, 7th season gets worse, 8th season gets worse, and it's still not bad. I wouldn't say it's bad, but
there's a slow, steady decline.
But going back to the things that I loved, that I thought I loved, and realizing I didn't, and then coming to this movie and reliving it, like I said, not just by myself with my friend, and then not just with my cousins, but coming back to it later, I realized it's a really faithful adaptation of the ideals of the comic book, but it's not faithful to the comic book. It's faithful to the ideals of the comic book, but it's very faithful to the animated series it does the animated series better than the animated series does, and it also, I don't know if anybody knew this, it's technically the fourth movie. It
I was going to jump in.
continues off.
It is, yeah.
Of the third movie. So for me, I'll just say this, and I'll let you both talk now because I've wasted way too much time. It's a C. It's the top of C.
Really? I actually would think it's okay. So I'm going to jump in here then to just say this. I actually want to higher. Okay, let me see this. You know, when I look at all these Batman movies,
but
and
what
I've
think
seen,
C is good.
No,
Sorry,
I get it, but I just want to. No, I get you. But here's the thing: like when I'm sitting here thinking about what I would actually have in A right now, okay? Right now, TMNT would be TMNT. The reason I like this movie so much is because after getting the train wreck that was 2 and 3, I mean, even 2 is not a wreck. I'm just saying,
no,
comparatively, what this is compared to 2 had very memorable stuff, but actually, like as a story, this is way better than even 2 books in there. To have the whole idea of my favorite character being in like I failed, you know what I mean, and being off in the woods and April having to look for him, that set up a whole motion of story. Like, oh wow, this is so different. This feels like there's a separation, and it made there having more gravity to it. So for me, this would be a high B, low A. I'll be honest.
I don't want to cut you off, and I'm going to let JD talk on this movie, but on the count of 3, just period. All 3 of us shout out your favorite Ninja Turtle. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Leonardo.
Oh my God, we're all different. This is amazing.
You don't remember? Okay. So, sorry, Campo's a little forgetting about this now. Campo, you forgot.
Do we have any Michelangelos?
My brother Fab.
You forgot about this, John. You forgot about this. When we played Shredder's Revenge, we all got our favorite turtles, and it was all different turtles.
Oh, by the way, I think I should link that video. We all played Shredder's Revenge. We beat the game in one night.
Yeah,
and we got to all play with our favorite turtle. Yeah, he got disconnected.
But hold on, JD, talk about this movie before we
so for me, this I wouldn't put it as high as Putty would put it, but I still would say it's a really good movie. This was a return to form for Ninja Turtles. The voice cast, you had James Arnold Taylor, you had Kevin Michael Richards, you had Sarah Michelle Gellar, you had freaking Sir Patrick Stewart in this movie. Like the voice cast was phenomenal in this movie.
Okay, but it's not better than 2.
No, I don't think it's better than 2, but this is a return to form in a way for me.
I'm okay with that. Put it behind 2.
I was going to put it behind 2 in B, only because of the fact that this, I think, took elements from both the comics. It continued the comics, it continued the cartoon, and it continued the movies all in one movie, because you had the introduction of Kyrie into this movie.
Absolutely. And I'm okay with that, because I think that series, the 2000 series that came after, when they introduced his daughter and all that stuff, and I agree with you. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Okay. As long as it's behind 2, I'm in agreement. And it's not to say it's bad. I don't think C would be me saying it's bad. I'm just trying to balance out where we're putting things. But okay.
Okay.
So who went first on this? Me, Putty. You go first on this.
That's why I'm so happy.
Wait, tell them how you figured out.
Oh no, I'm going to look at this whole thing. So understand, people. The 2 gentlemen you see here with me, I don't know if you're above or below me. You're on your end. Anyway, the thing is me being they knew I'm a diehard Turtles fan, and I talked about the comics, everything, and then when they realized I hadn't seen Turtles Forever, they both freaked out. Like, are you fucking? I mean, they started discussing, but they were like, "Are you kidding me? You need to go watch this." I go, "Why?" And I even spoiled it for myself. I was like, "What's going to be in this?" And let's just say this. If you haven't seen this movie and you're a Turtles fan, I want you to stop this. Sorry, I know you guys were trying to get some views here, but I'm just going to say this. Stop this right now if you're a Turtles fan, especially from the comic books. Go watch this movie and then come back and watch this.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Regardless of where we place this on the list, as a Turtles fan, period, would you agree with me that this is the most quintessential Turtles movie?
So when you call them the alpha, the alpha, so people again, if you haven't watched the movie, go watch it. I got to talk about this. In the movie, they go back to the old cartoon, the new Ninja Turtles cartoon. There's a whole time thing. It's a multiverse from Turtle Turtles. And during the whole movie, I'm sitting here going, am I going to get what I want? Am I going to get what? So the whole thing they're talking about, we need to save this. How are we going to stop this? And then Shredder's trying to figure out how to destroy all these turtles that are coming through, which is the original cartoon, the new cartoon. And they say they have to go the alpha. The alpha is the original black and white ones. And the way they did the world, even they made the drawings look really crappy, like the old, like the bad. I'm getting
made it black and white.
Oh,
can I jump in? Can I jump in?
Yes.
So, having seen this and told Putty he needs to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
When I discovered this, JD hadn't even watched it when I saw it. But we both told Putty he needs to watch it.
I own this movie and I watch it addictively.
Fab was the one who told me about this one.
Was it? I think maybe I told him.
Fab, yeah.
Fab I have
already.
had Ninja Turtle talks with him, but either way, it doesn't matter. This is, to me, the most quintessential Turtles movie. It's not going to be the best, but
it's a Ninja Turtles multiverse.
If anyone has never seen the second series, which is the early 2000 series, there was.
Is that the first Nickelodeon one?
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not going to, you guys can fact check me. It doesn't matter. There's about 3 or 4 seasons where it's a really good show. Then what would you call it? The production team of the figures, the marketing team took over and they took it in a new direction where it was like the future or some dumb shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then
that's right, the Triceratops things,
right? and it's not even bad. But then,
the Triceratops was actually in the comics too. But
yeah,
so that was like season 5, and then in season 6, and you can fact check me if I'm wrong. I might be off by 1 season or 2, but the general idea of what I'm saying is facts. Then the team that was making it got it back, and they made a season 6 that was supposed to be the end, and it was good, but it wasn't really ended properly. So then they got a season 7 where they ended it properly, and then the only way to correct the timeline that they screwed up because of all the differences that had happened was to make this movie. And this movie corrects everything. And if you want to shut out your stupid Marvel multiverse situations that we always make fun of, this does it right. And to me, this is in B ahead of Ninja Turtles 2.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this. For me, when you guys told me about this movie, I always had a list in my head of like my favorite Turtle movies. And number 1 is always gonna be the original movie. It's gonna be there, it's always number 1. Number 2 for me is TMNT. It got bumped. This became number 2.
We're having a group, it's a group thing, right? And it's
I'm just saying.
I think so far we've been super fair, and I agree with
Putty. Oh no.
So he said TMNT would be his 2. What's your 3? It's Turtles forever. It's Turtles forever.
No, you don't get it. I just told you.
This bumped up to number 2 because this is number 3.
Yes. TMNT's 3 for me now. This got, when you guys told me about this and I finally saw this, if I would have saw this before, it could. The only reason why it doesn't beat the first movie is because that had the comic book elements. This had the same thing, but it's also the way I wanted it to be. So for me, this is A. This is Cowabunga. This is Cowabunga for me. I love this movie.
Before JD gives his opinion, I want to say so that he can balance us.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I'm saying B, it will be the top of B.
That's what I'm saying too.
Okay, so it's going to go to top of V, but I think it's generally because it's just not. I agree with Putty, but it's not on that same level. But Putty is not wrong about anything he's saying.
No.
If you haven't seen this, you need to watch this. JD, take it away with the first Michael Bay movie.
Ooh, where do we start with this one?
I'm gonna sit back on this one.
This is the first Michael Bay one. Here I thought we were gonna get something. We're gonna get a lot of lens flares and a lot of explosions. But in fairness,
but he's not the director. He's the producer.
He's the producer. And in fairness, I forgot who the director was of this movie. He finally gave the 4 turtles individual personalities,
which is what we had at this point in the actual animated series, which was the Nickelodeon 3D one. They did have individual,
like, you know what I mean? It wasn't just the same color. It wasn't just the same costume with a different color scheme. Every turtle, like this is where we first got the Raphael with the bandana.
It was Jonathan Liebsman. Jonathan Liebsman.
Yes.
Sorry, I can't read.
So we got we got the Raphael with the bandana. We got the Donatello with the glasses. You know what I mean? We got literally Michelangelo with the shot glass necklace and all. Like, he's the party dude. So say what you will in terms of plot, story, what you will about Megan Fox. The fact that we got 4 individual turtles with individual personalities, I gotta put this in C. It's not a bad movie, but it's not the greatest.
Before Putty gives his opinion, because I think me and Putty are going to agree on this, I think it's in bogus, and I think it's ahead of Turtles 3.
I agree. Yep.
So I think
here's the reason why. Because I understand the personality.
But bogus is not. It's not that far off what JD's saying. He gave it a C, but go Putty. Give me a reasoning.
Well, here's the thing. I get the personality thing because we always had the personality. Donatello was the brainy. Raphael was the reckless endangerment. Michelangelo was the party dude, and Leonardo was the leader. He was like their own, like a new sensei in Splinter. The problem was we never actually got that visually. In this, we get that. We get the glasses on Donatello. We get all those little things that make them show them partying look of Michelangelo.
Mayhem does it better.
But that's exactly what I'm about to say. But there are other movies that did this much better. I like that they started it here, but I don't feel like that gives it enough in order because, first off, where in this world are they teenagers? These are massive looking things.
And I'm gonna, in my opinion, I'm not gonna go deep into this argument. I think this is what I'm gonna give you my genuine opinion. JD's not gonna be upset that we put it at the top of Bogus, and I have nothing else to say.
No.
Okay, so this movie none of us have seen.
I will explain since I read about it. It's apparently some
way out of the shadows.
So basically, apparently this one was just like a preschool movie where they go back in time and meet dinosaurs. And like I of course I've never seen it, but when you look at the cover, if you get to see it close up, you'll see it's just like it looks like they're selling play school toys. So it's never seen for all of us.
Okay. So this is for me. This is Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. This is the second Michael Bay produced movie.
This is the first of 2 times Rocksteady is played by a wrestler.
Yeah. This time it's Sheamus.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna be honest with you. This actually started a whole thing, and I'm okay to share this on the internet. This started a whole literal actual beef between me and one of my cousins. And the first movie, and then the second movie came out and it only made it worse. And it was what it was, but like going back and watching it, I have a different opinion on it now. And I think everything the first Michael Bay movie did, this movie just does it better. And let me explain before I get your guys' opinion. I think the differentiating characteristics between the turtles is done better here. The fact that they're absolutely massive is addressed here. Their ridiculous amount of strength is addressed here. I think she's not in it as much as a character, and I don't think the character is better for April, but I think the acting from Megan Fox is better here. Yeah. I don't necessarily love Stephen Amell in this, but I think that
he just played Arrow.
Yeah, and the addition of Casey Jones is it helps. And I do think all of the issues we had where the first movie they were aliens and all this dumb shit and then Shredder was shoehorned in, I think this movie corrected all of that. So for me, this is a C.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to jump in here. I'm okay with it being a C. But I want to say this right quick. I think
this is better than the first one.
I agree with you on that. Here's my thing with this. Okay, so with the Bebop and Rocksteady, it's exciting to see that as a fan of the cartoon. Okay,
and it's done pretty good, right? You can admit that it's pretty decent.
Yeah. The Bebop and Rocksteady is amazing. Even the Krang, I love. I love the Krang.
I agree, 100%.
Okay, Casey Jones is what ripped my heart out of this movie.
I agree, but at least he's there.
No, don't say that. Don't. I got to stop you on that. No, don't, because you have to understand. And I think JD agrees with me. There's a hardcoreness when it comes to Casey Jones.
But hold on, can I say something? I think
he was a bitch. He's a cop. He doesn't do this.
I think JD hit the nail on the head when he said it, and it might be the reason why I like it. It's not because I think he's better than any other iteration of Casey Jones, right? But we're in the heat of the best era of Arrow, and yes, he's not giving us the Casey Jones we want or need.
It's the Casey Jones we need.
Shout out to Batman. It's not the Casey Jones we need right now.
It's the Casey Jones we deserve.
In the heat of loving Arrow at that point when it was in its peak.
That was peak Arrow, yeah.
He gave us Arrow, and I agree with JD, but I also agree with Putty. It wasn't Casey Jones, but it was Arrow.
Okay. No, I'm going to say this right now. When you think about Batman, if you have Batman without his cape and cowl, you're like, this isn't Batman. That's his signature. Casey's signature was him being a vigilante, being that kick-ass guy that does what he wants and takes any type of thing and makes it a weapon. turned into a freaking cop. When I walked into this movie and I realized he was a police officer, I said, "What are you doing to my Casey Jones? What are you doing?" You have to understand, I'm okay, especially with later on in movies we're going to talk about. I'm okay with change, but change is fine when you do it correctly.
Can we make this perfect in between argument right here?
Yeah.
So I have one level of argument, and Putty has another level of argument. JD, argue the in-betweenness of Casey Jones for us.
So for me, like you said, at peak Arrow, Stephen Amell, and this is at the point right when they're starting Superman, Dawn of Justice, like the Dawn of Justice, that type of movie there too, right? And there was talks, are they going to combine the two universes? I would have loved to see Stephen Amell as that ground type of hero in the DCEU. Like bring in I thought they were going to merge the two. That could have been something. And Flash tried it with, and I don't want this to be a whole DC thing, but Flash tried it with their specials. Like they did their Crisis on Infinite Earths. And I thought like this could have been a perfect opportunity to combine. So truly, this is the Arrow on the big screen that we all wanted to see. Even though it's not Casey Jones, we got the Arrow, and at that point, Stephen Amell could do no wrong. He just participated in SummerSlam at that point with Stardust,
and he would soon be in All In. And if anyone has not watched, I don't know
against Rey Mysterio.
I don't know if anyone's ever watched wrestling, but AEW All In, the original All In that created AEW, Stephen Amell has a match, and he's really good in it. And it's like.
Go watch Heels. Heels is fantastic.
But he's not good like Kenny Omega good. But it's like, holy crap, this is an actor. Wrestling.
Logan Paul good.
But I want to just give Putty validation here. I want you to understand this. Your argument is completely validated, and so is mine. But I think JD hit the nail right in the middle of arguing both of our points. And now it's Batman.
But before we do that,
hold on, shut up. It's Batman and Ninja Turtles hosted by Putty. Go ahead.
Okay. So before we get into that, I want to say one more thing.
No more things.
Wow.
Maybe do a spit take there.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I just want to say this. The only reason why it pissed me off is the Casey Jones. I feel like that took away from the Bebop and Rocksteady because I love that so much. It's like they basically like they said, hey, listen, we're gonna give you something you love and then piss you off with something you're gonna hate.
This is what I want to say. This is why I think JD's point is really good.
I get it, but you're using
listen, because we both love a traditional Casey Jones, but
all three of us do.
But the difference between us on this argument was you wanted traditional and I got Arrow. And JD's argument was, I also want traditional, but I also really liked Arrow, and I'm accepting that we got Arrow. And I think all three of us are validated on that point, and that's where this movie is. And
right in the middle. It literally is in the middle.
This is one of the best ones. Putty, take it away. Batman and Ninja Turtles.
So this I never thought
great comic book. Not including part 2. By the way, in none of our arguments right now can you include part 2 of this series.
Yeah.
Because there is no part 2 movie. This is based on part 1.
Oh yeah. But anyway,
shout out to Batman and Ghostbusters, or sorry, Ninja Turtles Ghostbusters. Great comic book.
Again, another crossover, basically multiversal type crossover between two worlds, Batman and Ninja Turtles. And so as far as like we're ranking it, first and foremost, not eating pizza before. First off, why? I mean, again, it's not making the movie bad, but like they never what when they've never had pizza, like the way they acted. Anyway,
it feels grounded.
Yeah, I get it. Anyway, but yeah,
this was the sewers.
But anyway, this is an amazing movie. I really loved it. The detail, the animation, like it felt like Batman animated series, honestly. Like it felt like it was going towards that thing with the Turtles and everything. So for me, as far as like rating, because I loved it. I definitely feel like it needs to go to B. I feel like this is a B rating. It would still be behind TMNT for me, but again, I actually forgotten the plot line. Oh, okay, never mind. Okay, no.
I think we're gonna have a little bit of different opinions here.
Okay, well, go ahead then.
Hold on, wait, JD, give me your opinion because you're next.
So for me, this was more like at this point we've already had Injustice 2 out, and Ninja Turtles was the DLC for Injustice 2, and that got my brain thinking, hey, this is a franchise together that could work. They both work in the shadows. They both work as vigilantes. They both are trying to serve that common cause, street level heroes. This is something that could work. I would love. And then I got the Batman versus Ninja Turtles comic book, the first volume 1, obviously. And hey, DC does a good job with their animated films. This needs to be an animated film. And sure enough, we got Batman Ninja Turtles, the animated film. And this is cowabunga for me. This is so you got two of my favorite things. Like Campo, I grew up Batman, Ninja Turtles, like
we grew up similar. We grew up similar.
Yeah, very similar.
As different as the eras were, but like and I try to differentiate it between us so that people have something to grasp onto between our age differences, but it's realistic. And I think Putty feels the same way. We all have this like Batman, Ninja Turtles, X-Men kind of connection. Right?
But that's the thing. As a 13-year-old,
like
this
mutants, but
wow.
But hold on. Let me get on
whether
this.
It be Turtles or X-Men.
So but for me, this is like this is post me reading Ninja Turtles. So now I'm deep into like like I said, I watch cartoons, I read everything. At this point now, I'm post breakup with one of my long-term ex-girlfriends, and I got really into reading comic books. I had read that Ninja Turtles one, like we said, right? So now I'm deep into comic books, and this came out, and it was like I read it, and I was like, "Holy shit!" And immediately I called Anthony, which is Bargo, if anyone doesn't know, Jackie Scoons, and I was like, "Ninja Turtles, Batman! Holy shit, this comic book!" I bought because I would buy the single issues for us, right? I would go to the comic book store every Wednesday, buy the collected issues. But the way that we were, you're not reading those. And it got to the point where it was like overbearing. So I'm just delivering you weekly comic books. You're not even looking at them. You're just putting them in your long box, protected, and that's it. And if you're reading like I am, and I'm sure with you guys even too, with reading, you're reading volumes or collected or online, whatever, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like
so
online one, yeah.
I'm not even 100% sure as the series was coming out that he knew he was getting individual issues of Batman and Ninja Turtles. I'm like, after I read the collected volume, when I bought it, I'm like, read it. You have to read it. Oh my God, I'll buy it for you. I'll bring it to you. You have to read it. He read it. He's like, holy crap. And then like a month later, there's a movie coming. Holy crap. And we watched the movie and we were freaking out. And it does differentiate from the norm of Ninja Turtles and Batman, but it combines some of the best stuff of each. It has a lot of overwhelming Bat family aspects, but it kind of plays more to the childish. This is what I found weird. For the Ninja Turtle stuff, it doesn't play to the childish aspects at all. It plays to the very mature aspects of Ninja Turtles, but to the Bat aspects with like the pizza and like Alfred, it really, and I was like, I found it at odds. Where in the comic book, it didn't feel like that. But either way, I digress. I love this. I had a great time with this movie. I had a great time with the comic book. I do think, as in terms of meshing of worlds, Ghostbusters and Ninja Turtles crossover was better in comic book form because it's New York and they have this relation to New York, and it's like, you know, you watch those movies, even the new Ninja Turtles movie where they have this passion for New York, and it's like this, it's a character. The city is a character, right? Like Godzilla or any of those movies where it's like, oh, we got each other's back. We're from New York, you know? And it's like where Batman was like Gotham, and he's not from New York, and like but
Gotham is a fill-in for New York, though.
But you understand what I'm saying, right? Yeah. Like where Ghostbusters is like Ghostbusters 2 especially is like pure New York. It's like
Statue of Liberty, can we?
Anyways, this is top of B.
All right, I can agree to that.
See, I would want Behind Turtles Forever for me. I'll be honest with you. So I don't know if you guys agree with that.
I think we both trump you because we both had it.
I wanted in Cowabunga, so
yeah. So I think, but I think we're not in bad realms here. I think we're in good. Okay,
and let's give a shout out to the voice of Leonardo in this movie, which is Eric Bauza, one of the creators of Retro Kid from You See All the Shirts.
And I was rocking my video and arcade top 10 shirt today.
So since JD hasn't seen this, can I take this one and then?
No, this is
sure.
Wait, I thought you watched this, JD.
No, not not Rise of the Ninja.
Putty, let's have this together.
No, well, I was gonna say you can take Mutant Mayhem. I'll take this if you want to.
Okay, you take this one. Go ahead.
Okay, so
he gets 2 in a row. Fuck this guy.
Wait, how did I get 2 in a row?
Because you just did the last one.
I did Ninja Turtles Batman.
Yeah.
Okay, let's share this.
Go ahead, guys.
Okay, whatever. Okay, go ahead.
Go, Putty.
No, let's share it. You go first.
All right. Okay, so here's why this is a different take when it comes to Ninja Turtles. First and foremost, a lot of people don't know Krang wasn't just one Krang. Krang was a species. We only got to see one of the cartoons. This is the first movie we finally get to see the Krang Empire. JD, you need to watch it. That's all I'm going to say. Okay.
Okay. The Krang Empire. You already have me sold.
This is honestly a good movie.
It is really good. Here's the thing, though. There are some very sci-fi elements to it, which I don't want to spoil for you, JD. I think you need to see it. And I don't want to spoil for you. But for those that haven't seen it, there are very mutant, as in like more like X-Men mutant thing situation going in here. But I'm actually okay with it. The weird thing is when Campo told me to watch this movie, I was like, this looks weird. Like, it feels weird. It looks weird. It looks different. Then I got into it and I'm like, oh, this is sick. Like, I'm really loving it. Now, is it like the best? No. But comparatively, like for me, if I were to place it, it'd be in top of C, bottom of B. It's definitely better than any of the Michael Bay Ninja Turtle movies in my eyes, 100%.
Okay, so here's my comment on this, and this is to take it in a separate direction. So, in the original Ninja Turtle series, I believe they were called neutrinos.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I know what you're going with. Yeah.
In TMNT, towards the end of the series, we find out Shredder is an ultron.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like, I guess, the same idea, but he's like a Krang, and they're not called neutrinos; they're called ultrons or something like that. Right?
Yeah, you're talking about the series from
the second series in the 2000s, but
the first not the first Nickelodeon series, the second
one. The one that they have Turtles Forever.
Mm-hmm.
He's called an ultron, I believe. You can Google it. Anyways, I think in terms of raw series talent, the first series is nostalgic, like I said, and I went back and watched it, and I will agree it's not the best. The second series is the best. The 2000s ones, even though it had that period where the writers kind of sold their souls to the figures creators, and then it came back and we got Turtles Forever regardless. TMNT, which is the show we got after the TMNT movie, where it was all animated in CGI.
Mm-hmm.
Is a pretty good show, actually. I don't know if anyone's watched it here, but it's a pretty good show. I watched the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, hell yeah.
I think Rise of the Ninja Turtles, or Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which this is based on, has 2 seasons on Netflix. It's probably the weakest. It's still really good. It's still really entertaining. It really has this emphasis on differentiating the characters even more than anything we've seen.
Yep,
and
100%.
And it really plays out well. It's a fun watch. It's different. It's very grounded. It's much more Batman-esque, like we've talked about. But I think getting to this movie, I had low expectations, seeing as out of the 4 series, this is the weakest. It's still good. Don't get me wrong. And watching this movie, and I was blown away. I was surprised. I was like, what the hell is this? This is so good. And it really builds, and it has really good comedy, and it's such a fun time, and the characters are well fleshed out, and the story, even in comparison to the new one, which we'll get to in a second, and I don't think this is as good as that, so don't get me wrong, but I think the differentiating factor for me between these two is in Rise, there's a build to like a halfway point where like a sort of conclusion happens, where then they need to build off that to get to the next point. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like,
I know, yeah.
There's a build up to like a battle that isn't the end, and then that builds up to a bigger battle in the end. And I think that works really well with it. And like I said, the comedy and the animation plays out well. To me, this is either ahead of or right behind Turtles Forever.
Really?
Yeah. I
don't believe. How about I'm okay with low B.
If you go low B, I'm not going to argue with you. In my personal opinion, you heard where it was, but I won't argue with it. And JD hasn't seen it.
Can we do it here? Are you guys good with it there?
I can deal with it. I mean, I still think it's better than TMNT, but that's
fair.
fine.
Putty, come on.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I mean,
but I do think
to
this
me-
is one of the better Turtles movies. Okay, so we're
No,
getting
because
to we're
before
getting
we
to
get into this
Mayhem.
one-
It's my freaking turn. Shut
Well,
up.
no, I just want to say one thing I didn't get to say in this last one. I want to also say this. Ben Schwartz, I am now a huge fan of yours. I wasn't that big of a fan, but you played the
Until you
voice of
did
Leonardo
Sonic.
in this, and he did the voice of Sonic. He likes blue because then he played one of the DuckTales ducks, one of the 3 ducks, and he was the blue one. He
was the
plays
blue
blue.
By the way,
Blues.
I love DuckTales, and the new series is great. Okay, I don't want to
David
drag
Tennant
this
to
video
Scrooge
forever.
McDuck.
We're on the last movie. I don't want to
Mhm.
drag this video forever. I love that this video was a discussion, and I hope everybody stayed here for this discussion because this is one of the best actual videos we've ever made. I
agree to that.
I don't know how you guys feel, but like I've had some really good
Yeah.
wrestling videos with JD, but like I feel like maybe
We've had some banger wrestling episodes.
let me get into Mutant Mayhem.
Yeah, we'll talk after.
The second time Rocksteady is now played by a wrestler.
I think
And we didn't see him.
I think the animation is on. Me and Putty talked about this in a review. I think the animation is great.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think the storytelling is great. I think the characterization is great. They differentiate the characters like the previous one. We get a lot of really good stuff. The comedy is solid. It's a lot of people said this, and I said this in my review with Putty. Okay, I'll link to the review with Putty. Okay, because Putty's in it, and Putty, and Putty. But a lot of people said, "Oh yeah, the animation is different, but it's like Spider-Verse." No, it's not like Spider-Verse. This is different. This is completely different.
I think maybe the animation style is very similar.
No, it's not. I don't think the art style or the way that it's animated is similar. I just think because it's so different, people automatically associate it with Spider-Verse. Because especially in the new Spider-Verse, they did a lot of different styles, right? But I think this movie did it on its own. It's gritty. It has all the best aspects of all the movies we have in B tier.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are actually played by teenagers in this movie.
So wait, let me say this before you guys say your thing. It has all the best aspects of all the movies that are in B tier, but it has all the grittiness and feeling of A tier. It's not better than 90s Turtles, but it's cowabunga for me. Mic drop.
I'll say this. Like Giancarlo Esposito as Baxter Stockman, fantastic.
Ice Cube is so good.
Ice Cube is fantastic. Rose Byrne as Leatherhead. Like even Rose Byrne, someone who I thought would not work as Leatherhead, she was fantastic
that's
as
because
Leatherhead.
We have an ideal of Leatherhead, but when you apply it to that, me and Putty talked about this.
Yeah.
When you apply it to that Australian aspect, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But Paul
it
Rudd
totally
was great.
does.
And come on, Putty. We got our guy. Mondo Gecko, like shut up.
Okay,
who else did we get? We got Genghis. We got who?
Genghis Frog. Yeah.
Yes.
Hannibal Buress, baby.
We also got a bat. Oh my god, I knew it right there.
You got it, Putty.
Wingnut.
Yeah, I wanted him to have it. Come on.
Well, yeah, because I said a lot. I mean, I was naming them off all the time.
Come on, this is Cowabunga behind Turtles.
Okay, so here's my thing. For me, it's going to be behind Turtles forever, but that's not saying anything bad about it. So JD, you're going to have to be the middle ground.
I got to put it in Cowabunga. This is the most fun I've had with a Ninja Turtles movie in
Putty
a very long time.
This is one of the first lists where nobody really disagreed with anything.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Here's the thing. I'm gonna say this right now. It isn't in my top 3, but I will say this. It doesn't matter to me. My whole thing going into this was this, and you guys know this. There's only one movie that still, in my eyes, is always going to be number 1, and it has not fallen in my eyes.
And it's still there
at number 1, and it's in number 1 right now. If this list was not to have that at number 1, I probably would have walked away.
Do you want me to hurt your feelings?
You're gonna hurt my feelings. Mutant Mayhem is not better.
Do you want me to just?
No, I don't care. Mutant Mayhem is better. Mutant Mayhem is not better.
As a personal preference, as a human being who watches movies, 90s, 90 Turtles all day. As a movie critic, Mutant Mayhem is better than.
No, because you gotta think, if we're being realistically, that big mutant that Superfly turns into. That's not realistically.
You want to know what my biggest goddamn gripe is, and I have a lot. Don't get me wrong. Neither one of these, like when you're comparing comic book movies, like neither one of these is in the echelon of like Civil War or Dark Knight. Okay.
Yeah.
But my biggest gripe with Mutant Mayhem is that the ending is Ghostbusters.
Yeah, you're right.
And
Yeah.
even if you don't want to look at me and look me in the eye and say it's Ghostbusters, it's Ghostbusters, the female version, the ending. It's either one of them. You could choose, but it's one of those two.
Hey, you know what? I'm willing. no matter if you like Mutant Mayhem, I'm just happy.
But this list is good.
This list is fantastic.
Okay. Thank you for watching. Let us know what your list is in the comments below. This video went way too long. We got so many more videos to film today. I love you. Thank you, and peace out.